So as you can see, MSTY had a nice little pop up on Friday. We're going to take a look at that along with MSTR and Bitcoin just to see if it looks like it's going to continue on up, or are we going to stall out and come back down. We're also going to enter in all the distributions for those high yield ETFs that I do own. And do notice that the previous video, that total amount was around 13,000. And now it's sitting at 17.9, and I haven't even entered my distributions yet. So we'll take a look at that. And then we'll also be updating my options tracker as I did roll my SPY and CRDO calls. So we've got a lot to go over, and we'll get to it in just a moment. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So as you can see, MSTY did have a nice little pop up on Friday. It actually moved up over 10%. That's a $2.39 move up on Friday alone. Now if we were to draw in a little resistance line right here, you can see that this line right here looks to be a bit of a resistance line. I'm just going to make it purple and increase that size just a little bit. You can see we did come up, we did test it here and here before coming back down. Now on Friday, we actually did break it, but is it going to stay up above it, or are we going to come back down again? Well, to better understand MSTY, we've got to take a look at MSTR along with Bitcoin. So here we are on MSTR. I'm going to draw in a resistance line on this one as well. And there we go. You can see again, just like we saw on MSTY, MSTR's chart looks very similar. It did tap it once here and it tapped it yet again here before coming down, and then came back up on Thursday, hit that line and pretty much stayed. But then on Friday, we jumped and it went up. So one good thing is that we are above this little resistance line. And since we did close up above it, I'm hoping that this 148 to 149 line right here can now become a support line. Now that would be great, right? If we can stay above that, use that as a support line, then hopefully we can start using this as that support, moving MSTR on back up. And if we zoom out a little bit, you can see that we are down, right? It has been down for a while, but I would love to see it get back up above this previous support line, which is a huge resistance line. If we can get above that 225 area, that would be wonderful. But we've got a few other hurdles to get past before we get up to that point. As you can see, we did hit a bit of a resistance right here at this point, along with right here, right? So we've got a couple more resistance areas of about 190 and roughly about 200 before we can get back up to this 225. So 190, 200 before we can get back up to 225, but we're sitting at this 166. We've got a bit more road to go before we can get up to that point up here. But like I said, I do hope that we can hold this 149 line right here and keep it as a support line. That will be very good for MSTR. But since MSTR does use Bitcoin, let's take a look at Bitcoin and let's see what it looks like it's been doing, as it does trade over the weekend as well. And here we are on Bitcoin, and you can see we are having a little bit of a pullback. We did break back below this 75 area. We are just sitting pretty close to right at 75 actually. But you can see where we did come up to this point right here. If we were to draw a line there like that, you could say that that could be a resistance line as well. So if we slide back over, where are we at? Well, we are below that line. That line being roughly about 76,000, and we're sitting at just under 75. So what would be great is if we can get back up above this 76 and stay above it to help move Bitcoin up, which will then help to move MSTR on up. And if MSTR is going to move up, so will MSTY. Now, I know some of you out there still do have MSTY, as I do as well. And I'll be updating my spreadsheet to enter in those distributions and find out where I currently sit on those. So before we go over and start entering in those distributions, if you don't mind, hit that like button, as it does help the channel out. And here we are on my spreadsheet. Now, this spreadsheet is available to my Discord members. It's used to help track those high yield ETFs. At least that's what I'm using it for. Now, I track each individual high yield ETF separately because each one has its own sheet. Each one has its own distributions and purchases. So you have to track them separately. But I do like my spreadsheet here because it does also provide you the summary page so that you can see everything on this one page. You can see each single ETF that you do own, what it's currently at as far as the market price, and you also see what your real price per share is. So of course, on my sheet here, if it's red, that means my real price per share is above that current market price. That means that that position is currently down. But if it's green, like this one or this one, right? That means that my real price per share is under that current market price. Now, like I had mentioned before, we were sitting at close to about $13,000 on the last video. And before I've even entered in those distributions, the ETFs themselves had to have gone up because the value now is at $17,900. And I haven't entered distributions yet. So that means that that move is just in the price of those ETFs itself. Now, I have a total of 15 ETFs. As you can see, as I'm scrolling right on through, they're all green except for 4 ETFs. And those 4 that I'm down on are WDTE, SMCY, ULTY, and CONY. Those are the ones I'm currently down on. And the one that I'm down the most on, of course, is CONY. That's the one that took the hardest hit, and the second being WDTE. Both of those do move pretty heavily according to Bitcoin, and since Bitcoin's been down, they have been down. But of course, if you want to get a copy of this spreadsheet, come on over, join the Discord. That link will be down in the descriptions below. So let's go ahead and start entering in those distributions, because after this, I want to go in and update my options tracker, as I did roll my SPY call and my CRDO call. So to get to an individual sheet from the summary page here, you can see the ticker names here. All you have to do is hover right over top of that ticker name. A little pop-up will pop up, and therefore you just click that little link and it takes you right to that individual sheet. Makes it nice, quick, and easy. So we'll start right off with CONY. So I hover over CONY, you get the link pop up, and I click it, and we go straight to the CONY individual stock tracker sheet. As you can see, I've already entered in that amount of distribution for this week. So all I have to do is enter in my share count, and that will adjust my real price per share. So for CONY, I have 175 shares, and that's going to adjust that real price per share from $38.95 down to $38.57. And yes, I am still down on CONY, but remember, each week I am still lowering that real price per share. So if CONY stays flat or starts moving up, it has less room to go before it actually will cross over my real price per share. And therefore, at that point, it would make it green. So my goal is to get past that, to get my real price per share below the current price, and then eventually to get it paid off. But for CONY, if I were to sell all my shares at the current price, I will lose $1,600. On PLTY. Now, PLTY is an example of one that I was just talking about. It is indeed paid off. So all my distributions I earn on PLTY are free and clear. So we earn 35 cents, and I have a total of 37 shares, and therefore my real price per share being minus 4.45 will change to a minus 4.8. Now it's a negative because it is under the zero value, meaning that I do not have any of my money invested into the purchase of those shares. I have earned back enough in distributions to cover the capital that I had invested for those shares. And that is why it is indeed paid off. And of course, if I were to sell all my shares of PLTY at that current price, I would make $1,552. Next, we have NVDY. And for NVDY, we earned 11 cents. I have a total of 71 shares. And therefore, that real price per share of $10.72 becomes $10.60. And if I were to sell my shares at the current price of NVDY, then I would make $242. For ULTY. Now, ULTY, remember, that one was down. It has indeed moved back up some, right? And we can see right here on the chart, we were down at one point right here at a low of $29.29. It has indeed moved back up. It is currently sitting at $32.21, and it has had a nice little step up through here for the last couple of weeks. And that is very nice. And of course, since I am bringing my real price per share down and that price of ULTY is moving up, that means that hopefully I can get over that line and eventually the price of ULTY would be above my real price per share. So as you can see, currently my real price is still above the current price. But let's enter in those distributions and see how much closer I can get it. So we earned 39 cents and I have a total of 56 shares. Therefore, that real price per share of $32.67, it will drop down to $32.27. Oh, I mean, how close, right? Just how close. $32.27 for that real price per share. And the current price of ULTY is $32.21. I am 6 cents over, right? That was so close. I was really hoping that it was just going to be below it so that we would have flipped that red cell to a green cell on my summary page. But hopefully come next week, if ULTY can continue to move up or even just stay flat, I indeed will be able to flip that from red to green once again. Now on MSTY, it is again, just like PLTY, it is paid off. I am $10.16 below the zero, right? As you can see, the amount that I've actually earned on MSTY was $11,600 here in distributions. And I actually also earned some premium back when I was selling puts or calls with MSTY. I earned a total of $833 as well. So those two added together does exceed the capital cost that I had invested of $11,500 right here. So since the amount I've earned is greater than the amount invested, it is indeed paid off. Therefore, all distributions from this point on will be free and clear. And I have 95 shares, so that 30 cents we did earn is going to help to move my real price per share even further away from that 0 point. And it's going to change it from minus 1016 to minus 1046. This is just continually to grow. And I'm currently about $994.10 past that break even. But like I said, that is my goal for each of these high yield ETFs. To get them paid off and I have them just bringing in distribution money for me to do whatever I want to with it at that point. Now, of course, on MSTY, if I were to sell all those shares at that current price, I would actually be able to clear $3,454. And that's if I sold all my shares at the current price of MSTY, which is currently at $25.90. That would gain me $3,454. Not too shabby at all for MSTY. Next, we have SMCY. And for SMCY, we earn 9 cents. And I have 325 shares. That's going to change my real price per share of $6.76 down to $6.67. So if I were to sell my shares at that current price, I would only lose $188. So as SMCY continues to move up and my real price per share continues to move down, eventually I can get past it, and this negative value here will then become positive. For AMDY, we earned 69 cents this week. That's awesome, right? That's a nice distribution. Haven't seen that in quite a while, but I do have 164 shares, and that real price per share of $26.56 will now become $25.87. Now, AMDY has been moving up, and it's back up to $38.38. As you can see it right here on the chart, this one here has just been on a run, right? We were sitting around this $30 to $29 range, and look at this. This thing has moved up. It is up to $38.38. What a nice run up on AMDY. But with that move up, as you can see on this current price, since it has moved up and my current real price per share is continually to move down, that's increasing my gains. So now my gains, if I were to sell all my shares of AMDY at the current price, I would make $2,052. That's a very nice win. But of course, I'm not selling my shares. I am writing this one on out, as my goal is to get it paid off and to have it pay me those distributions into my account to be able to use that money how I want. For YMAX, we earned 9 cents. I have a total of 758 shares. That current real price per share is $6.60, and it now becomes $6.51. Now, YMAX has also been moving up some. It's up to $8.51, and therefore if I were to sell my shares at that current price, I would earn $1,500. Not too bad at all. For HUI. Now, HUI was one of the red ones, right? And mostly just because Bitcoin is still sitting around that 75K area, and it needs to get on up and move back up to above that 100K so that CONY and HUI both can start moving back up. But currently I have 116 shares of HUI, and at 43 cents in that distribution, that's going to help to lower my real price per share of $41.90 down to $41.46. And therefore, if I were to sell all my shares at the current price of HUI, I would only lose $912. So I'm sticking to my plan, and I hope one day that I can also get this one paid off. QDTE, we earned 9 cents. I have a total of 155 shares. Therefore, my real price per share of $21.12 will drop down to $21.02. And since QDTE did move up a little bit, it is indeed increasing that gap between $29.63, which is the current price, and my real price per share of $21.02, therefore increasing that potential gains up to $1,334. So as you can see, every little bit helps, but by me continually to lower my real price per share, even if QDTE moves up and then decides to move down a little bit, since I'm still lowering my real price per share, I am helping and giving myself the best chance to stay in green for my gains for this position. And on IWMY, we earned 11 cents, and I have 551 shares. Therefore, that real price per share of $14.55 now becomes $14.44. And if I were to sell all my shares of IWMY at the current price of $19.58, I would make $2,833. Not too shabby at all. For QQQY, we earned 12 cents. I also have 551 shares of this one, and my real price per share of $18.85 will lower down to $18.73. And if I were to sell my shares at that current price, I'm going to make $2,140. For WDTE, we earned 17 cents this week, and I have 540 shares. So therefore, that real price per share of $24.60 will lower down to $24.42. And if I were to sell all my shares at the current price of $30.33, I would make $3,189. For JEPQ, that is a monthly payer. And since I did not earn a distribution this week, there's no change to this one. And therefore, my real price per share of $9.13 stands. And therefore, if I were to sell all my shares at the current price of $58.66, I would make $2,724. Last but not least, we have DIVO, and DIVO is also a monthly payer, and I did not receive a distribution this week. This one is paid out at the end of each month. So therefore, my real price per share of $44.55 still stands. And since DIVO has moved up, and it's moved up to $46.29, therefore, if I had to sell all my shares at the current price, I would make $29.50 off of those 17 shares that I own of DIVO. So that wraps up all of my high yield ETFs. And to get back to my summary page, just to see what that total potential gains changed to for this part of my portfolio, we can simply just hover right over this tab right here, then click the pop-up, and it takes us right back to that summary page. And you can see, look at this. We are now at 18.5K in this part of the portfolio. So it is still moving up as long as the price of the ETFs continue to stay flat or move up. This here will continue to move up. But like I said, if you would like to get a copy of this spreadsheet, come on over, join the Discord. That link will be in the pinned comments in the description below. And then you can track all of your high yield ETFs to find out where you currently and really set for each one. Now, of course, when you do join the Discord and you click to get a copy of this page, it will be a view only page. To get access to that page or to make it editable so that you can enter in your ETFs, you'll see that the first tab of that spreadsheet will be this one, and it shows you exactly how to make it a usable copy for you. Do not click the request edit. All you need to do is simply hit the file button and hit make a copy. That will make a copy for you to use, then use that copy to add in all of your ETFs and to be able to track each one to find out what your real price per share is. So I hope that made sense. But I'd love to go over one more spreadsheet with you, and that's my options tracker. And here we are on my options tracker. Now, for this one, this is what I use to track my covered calls and my cash secured puts that I make on the tickers that I'm using. And currently, I have made a total of $4,885 so far. But of course, this is getting ready to increase because I did end up rolling both my SPY and my CRDO call. So let's just go ahead and quickly enter those in and find out what it's going to change my total amount earned to, as it's currently at $4,885.24. So since CRDO was the one to expire first, let's just go ahead and enter this roll in. So as you can see right here, this red number, this here is telling you that it's to expire on April the 17th. So if I did not do anything, I had a contract that said I had to sell my shares at $130. And that current price of CRDO is at $160.69. And that was the close of this past Friday, which means, of course, since that is above my 130, I would have had to sell my shares at 130. Now, is that a problem? Well, I did own them at 129. So since it is above what I paid for them, I'm not losing money, but I am indeed losing that potential increase from the stock price itself. And here we are on my Webull chart, and you can see whenever I was actually selling that call, we were in this area, right? We were still down low, moving around. It did pop up, and I thought, well, that would be a good chance to go ahead and sell that call. And it did pay me some premium, right? Then it popped again, right? And then we ended up closing up around almost $135, which was all right to me because mine was set at 130 and I owned them at 129. But then that next day is when it just took off. And we ended up getting as high as 163.68 just on that next day of trading. But of course, who could have known that this was going to happen, right? Nobody would have known unless you had some kind of insider sight. But I know I don't, so I play the market with what I have. And at the current time, when it was moving back up, I thought I would love to get some premium off of that 130 because as you can see, this green line right here, that is sitting at 131, right? And that line you can see was a pretty strong resistance line. It's hit it quite a few times. Here, right? And it kept going up, getting kind of close and coming back down. So when it was moving back up to this point, I thought, well, I'm going to do a 130 strike as it might get up to it. It might get past it, but I had no idea it was going to jump from that 130 area to 160, right? I mean, I had no idea it was going to do that. But that's okay. So I am trying to manage this one a little bit. I'm not at a loss. I'm only potentially losing or leaving money sitting on the table. Now, I'm not going to push it out too far, right? But if I can continue to stay within a week or two, then I'll do that to help increase that strike, earn a little premium, as that only puts a little bit more money in my pocket. But also, I do not want to keep moving it up and then it move right back down into another buy point and I've lost that sale at that good price up above my cost, right? So I've got to be careful and not be greedy. So let's just go ahead and let's close out this position of CRDO. Now I did roll it, but in order to roll it, I have to close the current call and open the new call. So this one that I did roll was on 4/17. So let's change this open here to closed. Now the date closed is that fill date, and that's the fill date on that roll, and that was on 4/14. That's when I actually got a fill on that roll. Now the current premium to close. Now this one I have to know how much it actually cost to actually close it, and then how much did I earn to open the new one. And to do that, we can simply go to my orders form. And here we are on the orders history. And you can see right here is that CRDO roll that I did do. This one was filled from that 130, which had an April the 17th expiration. And you can see I actually ended up rolling it out to May 1st. And I rolled that strike from 130 up to 132. So how much did that actually cost me? I'll just slide right over here and you can see I actually ended up paying $29.45 per share to close it. But then when I rolled it and opened the new one, it paid me $30.60. So that difference between those two prices per share is how much I made per share. And if I slide back over here, you can see that total difference is $1.15. So that is how much I actually made to roll it. But going on in the background is indeed these prices here. I did pay $29.45 to close the current, and then I earned $30.60 to open the new call. So these are the numbers we're going to enter into the spreadsheet. And back onto the spreadsheet. As you remember, we did close this one. It was on 4/14. The current premium to close this one, I took a screenshot just so that you can see where I'm pulling these numbers from. So we want to close this one, and it cost me $29.45. So I entered $29.45 here, and the total fees was a total of 18 cents. So I'll just take that and divide it by the 2, as I do have to close this one and open the next one. So I'll put 9 cents for this one, and I'll enter the other 9 cents for opening the other side, and that will give me my total of 18 cents that it cost me to make that roll. So sliding right over here, were those shares called away? Well, I rolled this one, so that is a no. I actually rolled this one, so therefore the shares are still mine. So going back to the beginning here, we'll enter that same date of 4/14, and that is my CRDO. I still own them at 129. It's still that covered call, but it's a rolled one, right? Because I did roll it out to, remember, 132, and that expiration date was May 1st. As you can see up here in the top right corner where I took that screenshot, May 1st of that $132 strike. So I want to enter in May 1st right here, and the premium I earned, that was this $30.60. So I enter that in at $30.60 right here. And for the fees will be that other 9 cents. How many contracts? 1 contract. So as you can see now, this one is the one that is currently still open. So I'll make that as open. So that did bump my total earnings up to $5,000. So I am still making money, even though I had to pay a lot, right? I had to pay a lot to close this one, but I earned even more to opening the new one. So therefore, the $29.45 just cancels out, right? And I earn that difference. Now, since that first leg of CRDO is now closed, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change that color just so that it's easily seen that it is closed. I'm going to change it to green. We're going to get our pop-up. And since we're just changing the colors, I'm not worried about any of the equations messing up. I can click OK. And that finalizes CRDO. But now we got to show SPY, as I did roll SPY as well. And as you can see for SPY, I had a strike of 675. I own those shares at 668. So at that current time, if they were to have been taken away, I would make $700, right? Because the difference between 675 and 668 is $7 times 100 shares is $700. But look at the current price of SPY. $710. Whew, wow. I mean, the market popped, right? It just took off. As it's the same issue we had with CRDO, we're having a lot of money sitting on the table with SPY. Now, if it was only up $5, say $10 or something like that, then I probably would not have rolled it. I would have maybe let it go, waited for it to drop back down, and do it again, right? Sell that put, earn the premium, get assigned those shares, and then sell another call above my cost. But when it took off and I'm sitting at 675 and it's at $710, and at the time it wasn't up to 710, right? It was at 695 or something like that when I made this roll. And I thought, well, I need to move this thing up some because that is a lot of money sitting on the table. And that's exactly what I did. But in order to do that, I did indeed have to roll this expiration date out further than I probably wanted to. I like to keep it within a week or two, maybe 3 weeks. But to be able to roll this one out a bit, I had to give more time in that expiration date. So let's go ahead and let's look to see what I did. So for this first leg of SPY, we need to go ahead and close this one. So let's close and let's slide over. And that date that I did close this one was on 4/17. So that's the date I'll enter in right here, 4/17. And the current premium that I paid to close it, that's this SPY one right here, 424, 675 right here. So how much did it cost me to close it? Well, it cost me $36.72. Ouch. But I wanted a little bit more of this movement. But did I take a loss on this one? No, I didn't, because I sold a new one above what it actually cost me to close the old one. And as long as you're selling your calls above your cost, you can't really lose. So you're earning premium and potential price appreciation. So that current amount that it did cost me to close this one with $36.72, I enter that in right here at 36.72. And this one cost me 20 cents. Now, why is it changed around? I don't know if it depends on the price or what, but it does kind of vary. And therefore, if you're rolling it, you actually have two trades. So that's why it gets doubled. Now, this one being 20 cents, I'm just going to put the 10 cents on this side, and I'll put the 10 cents of the rest of it on the other side of the trade. So sliding right over, were those shares called away? Well, no, they weren't, because this is a roll. So that's a big no there. And then we'll slide right back over here and we'll enter in that 4/17 here for that date that I did open the new SPY cover call. I still own those at that same purchase price, right? These are still the same shares that I own them at the 668, same ones. So therefore, 668 is what I own them at. And this again is a cover call. Now, what is the strike? Well, let's slide right over to this screenshot that I did do. Like I said, I closed this 675 for the April 24th, but I had to roll it. And like I said, I had to roll it out a good bit, and I rolled it out to mid-June, but I was able to move that strike from 675 to 685. That's a $10 move. Times 100 shares, that's $1,000 for rolling it from 675 up to 685. What a nice move, right? Now it does cost me time, right? I am having to pay for that time. So I am moving it from toward the end of April out to the mid part of June. So that expiration date will be June 18th at a 685 strike. So back on my sheet right here, I have a new strike at that 685 with an expiration of June 18th. Now the premium I earned on this one, we'll slide it back over to that screenshot, and you'll see for that June 18th, I earned $39.17. So I'll enter that in right here, $39.17, and the fees was that total 20 cents. I showed 10 cents for the close of the first leg, and I'm going to put 10 cents for the other side of the leg, just keeping it simple here. The number of contracts is 1. So I'm going to mark this one here as open as well. So you can see I have those two open, and my new amount that I've earned is $5,244. Very, very nice, right? This is just off of me playing around with SPY, CRDO, and of course I still have TJX open. If we scroll right up here, you can see TJX. Current price of TJX is $160.68. I own my shares at $146.25, and I have a contract to sell them at $150 for June 18th. So now I have two contracts that will expire on that same day of June. I have one contract for TJX, and I have a second contract for SPY. Both of those will expire on June 18th, and my CRDO will expire May the 1st. And just to clean this up, since this leg of the SPY is closed, let's just go ahead and let's turn that one to green as it is closed. There we go. Now it's a little cleaner. We have those two positions, and we have the one TJX, and that is all of my positions so far on my options for this part of the journey. But making $5,244, not too shabby at all. Now this spreadsheet is also available to my Discord members. This is a way that you can track your options to find out and to help keep track of how much you're making on your positions. There is an overview page right here that's part of that sheet. It's just a different tab, right? It keeps track of all the tickers that you've used, and it also shows you how many shares you have currently of each one. And you can see I have 100 shares of CRDO, 100 shares of SPY, and 100 shares of TJX. So I had a lot to go over, and I hope all that was able to make sense to you. And just want to make sure you understand that, yes, the market does drop, but especially for an ETF like SPY, which is the S&P 500, in my opinion, it's going to move up over time. And even though it's not guaranteed, I believe that it will over time just continue to move up. And that's why when it does pull back, you do have to be careful, because just as quick as it pulls back, it can indeed take right back off, turn right around and start making all new 52-week highs, right? And that's exactly what SPY did. But you also cannot just sit and do nothing, right? So when it was coming down, I was waiting for it to kind of start turning around, and it did. And when it started turning around, that's when I decided to go ahead and sell a call on those shares. But what I did not want to do is sell a call below my cost, right? I did not want to do that because of this exact reason. If it does take off, now you could be in trouble of having to sell your shares for less than you paid for them. Now, if that is part of your plan because you did make up the difference in the premium, then that is your plan. But for SPY on my side here, I wanted to sell that call above what I paid for them. And I continue to want to sell that call above what I pay for them. So now that I've moved it to that 685, this big thick green line, that's where my current option call is at. So if it does still close above it, then those shares could be taken away. But of course, I do have some time, and I've got time out to June 18th. Now, can those shares be taken away at any point that price is above 685, which is my strike price on my contract? Yes, it can. Anytime that the current price is above your strike, your shares can be taken, right? It does not have to go to expiration. Just like I do not have to wait until expiration before doing anything. I can always close my option at any point. Just like the other side can always exercise your contract and force you to sell your shares at your strike. And that's why you do not normally want to sell your shares for less than you paid for them. But these are exciting times. I love having this problem, right? I love having the problem of trying to keep up with the current price, right? That's a nice problem to have rather than the price dropping and you're way up here with your cost and you can't do anything except possibly sell at a loss or wait for it to come back and get to a point where you can start selling calls again. But I do love selling options. It's lots of fun, and it even makes it more fun when it makes you money. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up right there. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button and smash the like button, as it would be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, Legend out.